you'll have up and down memories, but the start of that would be up there, probably the best time of your career. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think obviously the sort of turnaround in the club, bringing in like George Burley, and even one of my initial conversations with George Burley, I'd said to him, we met, I think we had maybe a meeting or a golf day at Dalmahoy, and one of the first times, I think it was the first time I met him, I just asked if I could chat to him for a little bit and just said at some point I'd like to leave the football club just to make you aware that this is my sort of thought process. But no real going, like, I want to leave tomorrow and this, that and the other, but I just want to make him aware. So if he wants to do something or something came up, he goes, right, well, he can go and do this and I'll bring in somebody else. So, no, but that, I think that was one of the best starts for like something like 80 years in Hearts. The team that the manager and the club had put together, and the backroom staff as well. I think George Burley will probably say that himself. The testament to the backroom staff being able to recruit these players was of a different level, something that the club hadn't experienced for a long period of time.
Yeah,
standing next to Takis, who's won a European Championship.
that's what I just thought. Like, how big a coup was that to get the likes of him, Rudy Scaccio, and Jankowskis had played in the Champions League final? Like, how big was that for the club?
Yeah, I think that just was a statement of intent from the football club, that they brought in people of that calibre. And even people like Roman Bednar, people maybe forget, because Roman was a young human, like a young footballer making his way, but he had a massive impact. And I'll say people like Sir Rudy, his goal scoring at the start of that season was ridiculous. I think he'd equalled Henrik Larsson's record for scoring in consecutive games and stuff. So he had a major impact, and just the club went to a whole new level, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well.
Yeah, were you getting into that season thinking you could win the league?
I don't know if you probably. I would always think, unless you're like a Rangers or Celtic where you've had previous experience of winning leagues, where you go, well, we know we can win the league for it. Whereas for us, we maybe thought, well, we'll see where it takes us. And that initial period made us think that, do you know what, it might not be as far-reached as what people would anticipate at the start of the season. I think that was testament to George Burley as well. He made us feel invincible. He was, always remember his team talk, so he was always quite dismissive of the opposition, and ultimately he always finished with, if we're right, we'll win. And that was, and you just go, we were right and we generally won. So he was, and once you get that feel-good factor amongst the group and the momentum builds, you just it just starts to kind of have a snowball effect until the win comes out the sail. Yeah,
obviously you won 8 games and draw 2 in your first 10, and you're sitting top of the league. Like, and then obviously, but George Burley leaves. Like, what happened?
Good question. I think obviously you always hear murmurings in the background, but you're never quite sure. I think my opinion would be that there's probably a bit of a power goal. I think initially when you look at it, people analyse it, that Vladimir Romanov loved the adulation of the Hearts fans. I distinctly remember him standing in the director's box, standing up, waving his scarf, enjoying that side of it. I don't know, I could only guess. I think if other people are getting a bit more of the limelight than maybe what he's getting, I don't know if he found that too favourable, because ultimately, if any team starts with an unbeaten record at the start of the season and they sack their manager, there's something else going on there. So there must have been something else.
Yeah, was there memory not, like, was there not something to do with it? He signed a boy came in trial, I forget the guy's name, but a boy came in trial and Burley didn't want him, and a day later he signed him or something.
That sounds like a bit like Ibrahim Tal.
Right, okay.
He turned up on trial without any boots, and and then end up signing a 3-year contract. So these types of scenarios might have had an impact, because ultimately the recruitment that George Burley had done along with his backroom staff was outstanding. So if he's in full control of that and there's a bit of a power struggle, then and ultimately for George Burley leaving, his stock was unbelievably high at that time as well. I think he went on to Southampton, so the goalpost probably shifted for him in terms of the remit of his job. So
and how was it like for you? How was it like for you in the dressing room when you are? I think the famous thing was, but George Burley had won the Manager of the Month the first three months. Is that right? And then you're losing him. How sore was that for you?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of despair where you think you just don't believe it. You're like, how can that be? I think there was no real explanation behind it. You wouldn't get the full insight into what went on as well. And I think rumour has it as well, 2 or 3 weeks after they'd sort of sacked George Burley, they'd asked him to come back. You're
Really?
like, yeah, whether that's true or whether it's not, I don't know. You know how you hear these rumours in football,
Yeah.
but you just go, yes, probably made a knee-jerk reaction going, right, sign this player, no, right, whatever it may be in the circumstances, right, you're out your job, and then you go. Doesn't benefit anybody in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, but how much credit does George Burley deserve for that run at the start of the season?
Oh, unbelievable. Like, as I say, his recruitment process, the manner in which he shaped the team up, how the team functioned, it was unbelievable. So, yeah, all credit to him.